David Edward Sutch was the embodiment of extravaganza, a larger-than-life idealist and a theatrics innovator that inspired many future rock stars like Arthur Brown, Bonzo Dog Band, and Alice Cooper himself. Screaming Lord Sutch got a little help from his friends and the energetic 60s British music scene. Included in his small but unusual discography came an album that gathered big rock and roll names, including Led Zeppelin bandmates Jimmy Page and John Bonham in their prime. This is the story of a 1970 album that time forgot, Lord Sutch and Heavy Friends.
It all began in 1963. David Sutch, the musician, became Screaming Lord Sutch, the politician.
Lord David Edward Sutch.
Loony.
He led the official monster-raving Loony Party in 40 elections. His slogan, vote for insanity, you know it makes sense. Lord Sutch was the leader of a national political party and stood in elections all over the country.
Before Screaming Lord Sutch went big into politics, he was a passionate performer who got started in the early 1960s. Taking his name from American musician Screaming Jay Hopkins, he was a screaming character who recorded several singles with his band, The Savages, whose touring lineup included Deep Purple's own Ritchie Blackmore in between 1962 and 1966. Blackmore states he learned showmanship from Lord Sutch and his insane on-stage work, such as coming out of a coffin and not taking himself too seriously.
Your name is Blau.
Train get them moving.
Now the story takes us to May 5th, 1969. The Zeppelin were in the middle of the US Spring Tour of 1969 and their second North American visit, promoting their debut album. They were also halfway through the recording sessions for their follow-up. With May 4th and 5th shows at the Santa Monica Civic Center, Jimmy Page and John Bonham went over to Hollywood's Mystic Studios, aka Mirror Sound. Guitar and drum duties were performed by them on 6 tracks for Screaming Lord Sutch. Happy with the studio conditions, Page decided to record Moby Dick and the backing track for the Lemon song the very next day. Jimmy knew Lord Sutch for years. With almost a decade in the business, Screaming Lord Sutch didn't have an official album. Thus, the idea of helping him out came to be. Jimmy Page claimed in a 1970 interview that he didn't play any guitar solos, but another uncredited musician was brought in. But as we will see further down this episode, some of the lead parts on the album do sound like Jimmy. That record's release infuriated Page as he wasn't pleased with the material, a sentiment shared by the other musicians on the album. After the sessions in Hollywood, Lord Sutch went back to England, more specifically Olympic Studios London, where other big names joined the project. The Jeff Beck group disbanded in July 1969, and Jeff was looking for the next chapter in his career. He was a part of the recording personnel for music from Free Creek, a supergroup album with names like Eric Clapton, Keith Emerson, and Mitch Mitchell. Fun fact, the cover was designed by Hypnosis, of future Pink Floyd and Zeppelin fame. Noel Redding was also a bandless musician who quit the Experience on June 29, 1969. Both Jeff Beck and Noel Redding played on 3 tracks for Lord Sutch. Nicky Hopkins' fame grew exponentially. His recording credits at the time included The Stones, Jefferson Airplane, The Move, Donovan, The Kinks, and Jeff Beck. Yes, Nicky Hopkins played keyboards on Beck's Bolero, next to John Paul Jones and Jimmy Page. He's also credited for one of the songs on PJ Proby's 3-Week Hero. You know, the 1968 session that features all 4 Zeppelin bandmates? Yeah, Nicky's in there as well. Other musicians on Lord Sutch's album included Carter Little, who was Keith Moon's drum teacher. He was also a member of the Savages next to Lord Sutch, and the Rolling Stones' drummer before they got Charlie Watts in January 1963. Carter recorded an influential 1962 single with Cyril Davis All-Stars by the name of Countryline Special. Carter Little was also the drummer for a 1965 project by the name of the All-Stars, with Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, and Nicky Hopkins. Lord Sutch and Heavy Friends was released in 1970, February in the States and May 25th in the UK. The 12-track album was a solid collection of British rock sounds. Now the problem with the record is of course Lord Sutch's vocals, which are the weakest link in these well-executed instrumentals. Some say it's a matter of acquired taste, but it's certainly a troubled matter that is worth revisiting as a historic photograph of all musicians involved at the time. I find it interesting how Jimmy Page and John Bonham's signature sound stands out while at the same time provides hints at future Led Zeppelin 3 destinations. Here's an audio summary of the standout sections from the album. Lord Sutch releasing this record damaged his relationships with all musicians involved. Everybody disowned the project. He went back to the Heavy Friends idea with 1972's Hand of Jack the Ripper, featuring early Deep Purple's bassist Nick Simper along Noel Redding, Ritchie Blackmore, Keith Moon, and Matthew Fisher on organ. With a live on stage feel, this record proved to be a better musical endeavor than his debut. The singing is much more controlled. I also recommend checking this one out. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Screaming Lord Sutch suffered from manic depression throughout his life. He unfortunately committed suicide on June 16, 1999. This was a moment in British rock history. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.